So we need online gambling, and I'll tell you why. We can't ban it because the global online gambling market is worth $90 billion at the time of writing. That number has been growing for decades. Not long ago in 2015, the market was only $37.5 billion. That's still a lot, but it's a lot less than it was today. So internet gambling has only accelerated with each passing year. And with that growth comes a responsibility to make sure people are safe while keeping the standard of freedom in our country and competition in mind as arguments surface for regulations and bans on the online gambling space. Although online gambling can create gambling addictions, as the obvious argument here, a government ban protects monopolies from in-person casinos, shuts down regulated and safe gambling, and cuts off consumer choice. The United States must consider the positive to realize that it's unreasonable to ban it. Online gambling started in 1994 with the company Microgaming, creating the first online casino named Gambling Club Casino, after it was legalized in the Free Trade and Processing Act, Antigua and Barbuda, created in 1994. By 1997, the industry was bringing in over $1 billion in revenue, but internet was still slow. Downloads took hours to complete, and the internet was not at the point that it needed to be for this online gambling to be popular yet. Eventually, the internet advanced to a point where more gaming and mobile experiences that were secure and safe were developed, causing the market to exponentially increase in the years to come. Other regulations, such as the Unlawful Internet Enforcement Gambling Act, were made to keep it under legal bounds, but still the arguments for whether it should be regulated or banned entirely continue on. So even though online gambling can cause some addictions due to the accessibility versus the real-life casinos, the real-life casinos, the in-person ones, continue to operate even if online casinos were banned entirely. A 2002 study by the University of Connecticut found that internet gamblers are most likely to develop signs of problem gambling. That's the argument against online gambling, at least for the most part. This does not address, though, the problem gambling that happens all the time at regular casinos. In Las Vegas, casinos are expected to make about $90 million off of March Madness alone in 2007, and you can only imagine that number has grown today. This obviously shows that banning online gambling would not be effective, as problem gamblers will always have an outlet to gamble. A government ban would protect monopolies in the gambling industry. An example of the corruption of in-person casinos is Jack Abramoff, who made millions defrauding the Native American tribes that hired him to guard their casino monopoly. The U.S. once tried to block gambling ads from online sites, and Antigua, the first country to legalize online gambling, brought the U.S. before the WTO and argued that the United States was violating free trade agreements to protect industry at home. The WTO agreed with Antigua. In 2024, traditional casinos made $49.78 billion in revenue compared to just $8.41 billion that online gambling made. These past events and current profits perfectly described how the U.S. has consistently favored in-person casinos as legal and even monopolistic, with corruption running rampant. Unlike the threat of the new online gambling market that many have attempted to stifle. So a ban on online gambling would be completely unsafe for business competition as a whole. And another thing is that online gambling is just as safe or even more as in-person gambling. It's easier to find and prove cheaters online by tracking all the hands of a user attached to a certain IP address. Versus in real life, they can mark cards, tamper with gambling devices, pay off dealers, move bets so they pay off in certain games, stack a game with Confederates, and many more. There are lots of independent agencies that offer certificates for websites that meet the standards of security, legality, and the Wire Act is another law in the gambling space, especially focused on online, and it limits interstate transmission of sporting results for the purpose of betting, but it also does not prohibit online gambling as a whole, and neither does the Professional and Amateur Sports Protection Act, bars certain states from legalizing sports gambling. Even the most clear laws on internet gambling, the Unlawful Internet Gambling Enforcement Act, does not directly restrict gambling, but instead deputizes banks, credit unions, and credit card companies to block illegal online gambling transactions. With all these laws, it's apparent that online gambling is legal. Also, principles of international law, which prevent each country's sovereignty, bar the United States from extraditing its citizens for breaking domestic gambling laws. So the United States cannot even try and punish its citizens for gambling in other countries. Since online gambling is legal and can prohibit cheating better than real casinos, there really is no reason to think online gambling is any more problematic than in-person casinos. So a ban would hurt the safe and regulated industry. The most clear reason to not ban online gambling is that it removes customer choice. For one thing, it's futile because 100 billion of 600 billion is spent in 1998 will go towards illegal bets, demonstrating that Americans already pay little heed to anti-gambling laws, says Tom W. Bell, professor at Chapman University Law School. As I mentioned before, 8.41 billion was spent on online gambling in 2024, so there is an undeniably large market just within the internet space, growing every year. Another thing is that it's well established that in-person casinos have been accused of creating gambling traps and at every turn in free-flowing booze, as Tom Bell describes. This problem is solved when gamblers will no longer have to fly to Las Vegas to play the slots, drive to the nearest authorized track to play the horses. Banning such a prevalent source of gambling would disrupt the billions of dollars flowing through the market, leaving consumers without any avenue other than illegal bets, which they have been shown to fall back on comfortably when forced by anti-gambling laws. Obviously, a ban on online gambling for reasons of a gambling addiction is short-sighted because it would cut out competition from in-person casinos, make a safe and regulated market inaccessible, and remove consumer choice. The government must understand that ban is unwarranted reaction to a new technology that is based in fear-mongering. Whether a ban is passed or not, people will gamble all the same. So the government must only ask itself, which version of gambling is better?